Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Sovereign Society podcast. And I am super stoked about this episode because it's not very often I get other podcast priestesses, hostesses of the mostesses, holders. Like, you guys have no idea what it takes to make these and what it takes to offer you guys through this platform. And we do it because we feel called to. Me being a Gemini, I talk. It's just what I do. I am Mercury. I'm a Gemini, Virgo, Moon. Like, I am Mercury. So this is like, oh, I get to talk, of course. And I got Jen here, and Jen is also a host of her own podcast, the Jen Mavros Show. And she's got some badass change makers on her podcast. I'm like, scrolling through and I was prepping for this and I was like, damn girl, yeah, get it. Like, you're really doing it. Get it. So thank you for being you, for your passion for this work to uplift humanity, for helping me see, oh God, I'm not alone.
No, oh my gosh, you're so not alone. And it ain't no joke, girlfriend. I swear.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
And like, you're very big on manifestation. I am massively upgrading right now. Like, I'm got this cold that I've been navigating through, and it's because I know my throat chakra is just like, pling, like beaming out, like really like, all right, this bitch is really stepping out of the spiritual closet and she's really showing up and like speaking up.
Yes.
So thank you again for being here, and thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. Likewise, love. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to know, what was the call for you to start this work, to start a podcast? What was like the spiritual, hey girl, now is your time to shine?
Yeah. Well, specifically around the podcast, I had actually kind of been feeling like this yearning in my underbelly for a couple of years. And, because I love just like helping. Like, I'm genuinely a helping person, and not all people are helping people. Like, sometimes people, I think, mistake my helping nature.
Well, we're Kapha's woman. Like, we're like, Mama Gaia, we're here to help save the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes I think people just in the way of life have been jaded in one form or another, or, been disrupted or hurt by, quote, giving people. But like, I genuinely just want to, are we allowed to curse on this space?
Oh, girl.
I figured. I just wanted to, like, before I drop.
This is your opportunity to be real, be authentic. Okay.
Oh,
so like, I'm not going to prevent you from being you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I just genuinely want to love the fuck out of people. Like, that is my thing. And so how can I do that? How do I feel most resonant in showing up and providing that love and support and et cetera, et cetera. So, this podcast thing kind of came to me and I sat on it. I had a mentor at the time who I fired, who basically kind of steered me away from it. And then I had to come back into my truth, realign with the truth. And it just was like, now is the time, Jen, let's do this. So, I think that, like, my branding, like my overall business, like, some people might say that, like, oh, that's actually quite clever. And I'm like, dude, that shit, like, I would like to say that, like, I had the genius behind that, but like, it wasn't at all me. It's all just kind of like unfolded over time. Mm-hmm. And so this message was given to me in a divine download about loving humanity forward. Obviously, because, like, I just want to fucking love people. Like, I want us to move forward as a humanity, because the way that we're going down a wounded path right now, we need some healing, we need some love, and we need to pull out of the collective shadow the things that have been lurking, the things that need love, that need to be reintegrated.
Mm-hmm.
And so
there's a lot of that shift right now too.
Yes, definitely. And so how can I show up? And so the podcast began, and I wanted to connect with people who are already, kind of helping, who are helping the world move forward through love. So was so grateful to have a lot of people say yes to me who already have very large platforms in the spiritual and personal development space. And it's just kind of grown from there. And I'm absolutely madly in love with it. Like, it's a passion project for sure.
Girl, I feel you. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because you're talking about like how you fired your mentor because you weren't meshing. And I know for me, I've been just reflecting so much of the people that are in my life right now,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the personal development sector.
Yeah.
The people I'm collaborating with that are like, whoa, soul sisters. Like you literally, you have like online presence and like relationships. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like, oh, this is my Instagram friend. And then you actually meet them in real life. And it's like, well, we pick up where we leave off. And so I feel like when you're really tapping in and doing your work and your soul's purpose and what your dharma is,
Mm-hmm.
the clearer you get, the more you attract those people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe. And like, those are the people that it's been so loud for me too, is that this whole new era of not even just personal development, but just of living
Mm-hmm.
is all about collaboration versus
Oh yeah.
competition.
Oh, screw competition.
Yeah,
Screw
it's
that
such an
shit.
outdated paradigm kind of belief, but there still is
Mm-hmm.
wounding of that, like through the DNA that we've
Yeah.
been carrying, you know? So there's still like breadcrumbs, is what I want
Yeah.
to say, because it's still like very little. I know sometimes I still work from it. Like I get like my bitch girl in me is like, oh my God. Like, but then I'm like, oh no, I'm just jealous because like, and I had to admit responsibility. Like, I'm just jealous because they're doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just jealous. And so what a beautiful opportunity for me to grow and like put myself in check.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And every single one of us is on that path in some capacity or another, wherever you are in your journey. And it's a matter of really like, you know, forward movement is
Mm-hmm.
about really looking the shit straight in the face. And how can we dismantle this? I mean, I know specifically in my own life, my personal life right now, and this is actually going to be coming out into my work moving forward, is about dismantling white privilege and racism. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
when we're born into this like social construct of the societal normness, um, we become born into that. We learn that. And so, you know, shifting out of these old paradigms, like it requires us to take a good hard look at ourselves in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And again, calling those things out of the shadow. I really believe that racism is up to this point has been a shadow of our collective humanity. And so it's
Yeah.
coming out more and more. And sometimes it's disruptive. A lot of times it's disruptive. A lot of times it's chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to embrace the duality of life, not only the messy, but the beautiful. And
There's truth in that contrast, you know?
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, that is what humanity is about, is the contrast of all that is. It's that the rainbow spectrum of everything. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
the bright and shiny rainbow fuzzy awesome
Mm-hmm.
positive happy thinking high vibeness. That's one side of it.
Right.
So yeah, so this is deep work. It's deep work for us all.
Yeah, it's really intense. And I was just having this conversation with my friend Allison Charles, and you know, we want to go deeper into it too. And it's been challenging for me because I see it. But it's not even just about race, it's a lot about ethnicity too. Like there's some healing that I've had to do because I'm Italian, like
Mhm.
super Italian.
Sure.
So my whole life, everyone was like, oh, you're part of the mafia. Oh, you're part of the mob. Like this like
Mhm.
caste system, regardless of skin and color. You know, because I feel like I grew up pretty diverse. Of course, I don't carry the same ancestral heaviness of slavery and things like that that a lot
Sure.
of my brothers and sisters of African American and Latino communities carry.
Mhm.
But growing up, I never really saw myself as white because my
Mhm.
grandfather was super dark skinned. And
Sure.
like I was the girl that brought like blood oranges to like elementary school and like was teased for that. And so I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, I'm not eating PB&J. Like I'm not like those
Sure.
girls, you know? And
Yeah.
so I'm doing my best to speak my truth about it
Mhm.
while also looking for the solutions and also honoring the people
Yeah,
that are feeling the way that they're feeling.
absolutely.
Because to be a change maker, we have to make the change and start these new
Mhm.
beliefs and these new ways of being,
Yeah.
where it's not so much like because of a bubble that we color on the census defines us. And I feel like so many people in the spiritual community right now, and I'm sure you're seeing it too, are really transcending labels.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it does start with the individual. I want to live in a world where we all sit at the same table,
Yeah, for
where
sure.
not like they're that type of person or from that type of ethnicity or culture, and therefore they're over there. Like I want us all sitting at the same table. And
Mhm.
so how do we then begin to do that? There's a lot of dismantling that has to be done, a lot
Mhm.
of healing of all that has to be done. And I think that having conversations in a space where we're held loving and a vulnerable, we can share vulnerably. I think that
Mhm.
that's a really great start, So
Hearing people out. And I think it's so much because like we hide behind the phone, we hide behind the
yeah,
computer,
yeah,
but like there's so much more power when it's like face to face, like not through like an Instagram post, but like
sure.
actually sitting in sacred circle together to have these
Absolutely.
conversations. That's how the progress grows. And I'm so big on the micro to help bring out the
Yes,
macro.
yes,
You know?
absolutely. Well, when you're face to face, you can actually see and feel in that presence, the pain that people are holding. And I think it's just more powerful. But yeah, I mean, if we got to start behind a computer screen, let's start there. But we just need to
Yeah.
start. We just need to put action under our feet. And I know for me, as being a part of the spiritual community, it's no longer, this is again for me, it's no longer enough to just be spiritual and talk spiritual. We actually
Mhm.
have to put action under our feet. We have to help move things forward, and not forcing things forward, not pushing things forward, opening that space of love and that authenticity of vulnerability space, um, and continue doing our own work.
The word I kept hearing when you were saying that was grace.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's with grace because you can't, it's with sensitive subjects like this, you can't be forceful on
Yeah,
either side because there can still be trauma. There's
sure.
still a lot of traumas we're carrying. That trauma is trauma. It feels the same in the body. It doesn't matter what the situation is, trauma is trauma.
Hmm.
And so, especially if you're having those trauma in the younger ages, that is bleeding into the future until it is dealt with.
Yeah.
So I just keep hearing so much about ancestral karma, ancestral like DNA. And I feel like that's why so much of our generation too is really holding off on children, or we're having children
Mm.
later so we can really clean up the mess. So we can really cultivate and bring in children into a world that is more loving or more compassionate and more receptive,
Sure.
because so much of it has been like us versus them, which again goes to that competition idea rather than the collaboration, where we can see that people from various races and ethnicities, they all bring something unique to the table that doesn't make everything so vanilla
Hmm.
and like so boring.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even the spectrum of women and men sitting at the same table too.
Mm-hmm.
The Me Too movement. I mean, it's everything. It's and there's so many other levels and layers to that. But yeah, I mean, this is where it starts. This is
Mm-hmm.
where the shift begins. And
Yeah, because it's also not just race, it's a lot of the LGBTQ community as
absolutely.
well.
Yes.
They're
Having
really
that
having
like
to come up. And I
mhm.
live in a very high LGBT community growing up
Yeah.
in Palm Springs. So it's like, I think that's the other thing too, is I grew up in a pretty diverse area where I was born on Native American land.
Yeah.
Like I was friends with every race. I went to a pretty diverse high school, like uh, very strong LGBTQ population. And so everyone's like, oh, how did you grow up in the desert? There's nothing here. But that opportunity allowed me to not see color, to see people for on a soul to soul level, which I'm sure is something you're super
Mhm.
passionate about with the work that you're doing to uplift humanities. This
Yeah.
spacesuit, this suit that we're in as a body, it's just a veil of that's the soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love the work that you're doing, and even the courses that you have, how you have like inward, outward. Oh my God. I'm like, okay, the marketing machine in me, because I went to school for marketing and branding. I was like, this bitch is tuned in. She's like dialed in.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Is like that was, but that was not me. Like that was not something that like I sat in a strategy session with my team and was like, this inward, outward, onward, upward. Like that's cool.
It's
Like, let's
so
do that.
fucking good.
It just came to me. Like
I give credit where credit's deserved, okay? And bitch, you got it down. I'm like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like too, in business, I want to talk about business. Now let's shift to like, now that we've gone the shadows to be transmuted over here, let's talk about business.
Yeah.
And really marketing our message to share and to uplift humanity through our message and through our work.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so important of branding and and being clear and really being consistent with the energy and the vibe you're really putting out there.
That's like the first and foremost thing for me is like the energetic infusion. I'm actually very specific with my team when I'm working on projects with them. Like my love, days happen where life just wants to just like kick you in the nuts. Like, please just try not to work on my stuff when you're in that space. So it's really important that the infusion of love and transformation, creating the sacred container, that is so incredibly important to me because I believe it starts with energy. Energy trumps everything, like the copywriting, the visuals, everything. So yeah, you've got to definitely be in that aligned space. So absolutely, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so funny because, like I said, I went to business school and I studied marketing, and I was the stoner girl who came up with all the marketing ideas. And like, I'll do the PowerPoint because I'll just like blaze over here. Like, I got that. Like this, but I live for marketing to the point that like my professor, like graduated college like 8 years ago, and he's still like, hey, marketing machine, just checking in on you. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, there is such an oversaturation in our fields now, which is great that people are really like passionate to share personal development and things like that. But I feel like to really stand out is like being really aligned and really cohesive.
It's doing your own journey is really what I mean. That's where all, I like to say that, like, I think a lot of people, like, they want to see the resume, check points on your resume, that you're certified, that you've got licensing, but like really lived experience trumps everything. And for me, it's not like my lived experience isn't necessarily what's going to work for you, but it's that space holding where I don't want to try and squeeze someone into a one size fits all box or into my own box. I hold space, and it's more of a guiding, and then they've got the answers themselves. So it's a matter of just guiding along the way, shoulder to shoulder.
That's been big. Yeah, that's been big for me, is like reminding people like, you are the guru you've been waiting for.
Yes.
Like, take what you need from us and leave the rest. Whatever is resonating with you, take it. But otherwise, like, keep moving forward, because then the dogma comes in, then you give away your power. Yeah. And ain't nobody got time for that anymore. Like, we need to like show up and step up and share our medicine unapologetically. Yeah. And I know that's a lot of the work you're super passionate about doing too. That's why we're having this conversation, obviously, because we're just right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Totally agree.
But I think it goes back a lot of what we were talking about earlier, like being in the caste system of like the racism and the diversity is like, oh, I'm this, or oh, I'm this, or oh, I'm this. Like, all those things don't matter. Like, I just like literally applied for a new passport, and it's like, what's your occupation? Why the hell does that matter? Like, so I was like, do I write spiritual mentor on my paperwork?
Entrepreneur. Yeah.
I wrote spiritual mentor because I don't give a shit. I'm like, I'm going to bless up my United States government right now with like my truth. I was just like, what, But I just think like really getting out of the consensus of like check this, check this, check this. Like, oh, Sabrina says I need to do this, 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 which means I need to do this. And a lot of people are like, there's just so much shifting that's happening right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm all about like, there are like tools that you can learn and take those
Mm-hmm.
tools and do you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no one's going to do you better than you do you. So that's my
And
jam.
no one knows what you've experienced either.
Absolutely. No one's walked a day in your shoes. And
Yeah,
so,
totally.
yeah.
So that's where the idea of the more compassion comes
Mm-hmm.
in, more of the empathy, hearing out,
Mm-hmm.
allowing people to share. And I think what's been very big for me lately, because I shift the name of this podcast from the Sovereign Goddess podcast to the Sovereign Society,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to push away men.
Sure.
And so to me, it's like I'm seeing the rise of sacred masculinity right now.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, that just like, it makes me cry to see these men like share emotion and speak up, because a lot of times they felt like they couldn't be heard, and a lot of times I think that relationship kind of whole world is shifting too, where like
Mm-hmm.
men are really having to find conscious men groups and women like sisterhoods,
Yeah.
because we can't be like yelling. Like, of course our partners can be there to support us, but like it's really good to have your sisters there that are like,
Oh yeah. There's nothing like,
you can bitch with your sisters. You don't want to bitch with your partner, with your man. And again, PC, whatever sex you are, whatever gender you identify with,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but you need to have like your support system outside of your partner.
I agree. And I actually joined a mastermind sisterhood a couple of years ago. And that was one of the most powerful, potent spaces of medicine that I had done in my journey up to that point with other people. And so I'm all about sisterhood and leaning into the sisterhood when you need it, because we're, especially in the business and entrepreneur space, we're seeing all this like lone wolf solo entrepreneurship stuff where I'm like,
Martyrdom.
seriously, like the more that I lean in to collaborate, to be in community, to be a part of other people's businesses and lives, the more successful you become, in my opinion.
We become.
Yes.
It's
As
not
a
even you
collective,
become,
yes.
it's we become. That's what I was saying earlier, is like the people that I've been calling in my life lately are all women who are in this sector that understand,
Yeah.
because it's not fucking easy to start your own business. It is.
Yeah, it's no joke.
It's challenging.
It's not only like the business component, but it's I believe that entrepreneurship or starting your business is literally the gateway into spiritual and personal development. Like,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want to grow, start a business.
Well, that's the thing too. That's something I'm super passionate about, is like, if you want to have a strong business, you have to have a strong sense of who you are. You have to be willing to do the work for yourself, because
Absolutely.
otherwise that's going to bleed into your business. Because I believe that's a solistic kind of relationship where there is no separation. They're all conjoined.
Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
you have daddy issues, that's going to come through your business. If you got mommy issues, that's going to come in through your business. If you're still like holding resentment with someone, that's going to come through your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
this work is no joke.
It's no joke, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Me either.
I
Me
love it so
either.
much.
Yeah, I chose to become an entrepreneur right out of college. And so I've been an entrepreneur for over 7 years now, and it's been tough.
Sure.
But I can't imagine myself at the 9 to 5. Like, I can't imagine myself. Are you kidding me? I was up till 4 o'clock this morning, like channeling and downloading. That's the life of an
That's my life
entrepreneur.
too. Yes. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm on one, I'm in one, I'm on one, I'm around one. I'm like listening to my tunes right now. Like the downloads are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in alignment right now. I got to roll with it. Even though I feel like shit, it's coming through. And it's just like, you have to trust those divine interventions.
Mm-hmm.
How has that helped you create your beautiful brand and your platform and the work that you do?
Yeah, sorry, it was a little choppy there, so I hope I didn't interrupt you, but
You're good.
No, I mean, that's truly, I mean, that is the foundation of what I do. And so a lot of times, like as a human being, we can forget that we're connected to everything and all that is. And so in that space of deliberate, like remembering of reconnection, that remembering space, like for me, it's meditation or contemplation, prayers, you know, all of that space. That is where I kind of launch from. And also being not only a human, but also a divine being at the same exact time, which actually has been kind of a mind hump for me. Cause I have a tendency to want to just like go float around in the cosmos and like, it feels so good to hang around with my angels. And so sometimes it's hard to human. It's really hard to be a human. And how do we then realize in this space of intersection that we are both a divine, powerful beyond anything we can possibly imagine, and a human being at the same time. And so for me, again, like it's, like I said, it's this, this space of meditation for me that launches everything. And, oh, and as I was starting to say too, your body holds so much sacred wisdom. So tuning into, how does this make me feel right now? How does this landing? Is there resistance? Is this resistance or this pushback? Is this coming from love or is this coming from fear? Because that's like the next like inquiry that you want to
The
have.
contraction or the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you contracting or expanding because this is something that you fear because it's perhaps a belief system that's limiting you? Or is this like truly your intuition speaking to you on a deeper level, like, no, this is not the right path? So it's tuning in with your body, tuning in with your own internal compass. And that's my jam. That's totally
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I feel like, I mean, no, but I feel like, you know, we grew up in a society of so much body shaming
oh
that
yeah.
I feel like that was like a societal trying to construct for us to not be intuitive because the future is intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally the future is being a multidimensional being, a
Mm-hmm.
multisensory being. Like it's not just about the five senses anymore.
Yeah.
You have to go within
Mm-hmm.
and understand like, oh, like gut instincts, you know. And I feel like I've been dealing with gnarly gut issues. Like I had gained 30 pounds because I had a parasite in me. So I
Wow.
just released it a week ago. It was like
Oh my
3
goodness.
inches.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. So now I got to work on my body again because
Mm-hmm.
it is my vessel that's helping me navigate through. And then, you know,
Temple.
just
Yeah.
even all the whole poison with sugar and things like that, you know, the culture we've grown up in has tried to stop people from really tapping into that intuition and to speak in that truth that they can control. But like people are breaking free and it's like, you know, all good things are wild and free. And a lot of us are reclaiming our power back and like loving ourselves for the way we are, but realizing like we can always do better and we
Mm-hmm.
can always strive better and we can always empower other people to be the best versions of themselves and to stop playing small and to listen to their bodies and the intuition that the intuitive hunches. Because to me, it's like intuition comes first.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other stories are the ego trying to keep you playing small.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is the human journey too. I mean, it's an ongoing, forever more process as long as you're a human being in this lifetime. Like you're going to continue working on yourself, growing yourself, your soul's evolution. You know, yeah, the body, that's a constant thing. Your soul growth, that's a constant thing.
Mm-hmm.
Identifying, you know, the blocks and the belief systems and the subconscious, that's a constant thing. Every new level you get to in your life, and I don't really know that I don't like this terminology, but I don't really know that I have another way of saying it, but it's like new level, new devil. Like when you get to that next new level in your life or your business, it's almost like the universe drops you to another level. The visual I get is like you're dropped down like an elevator shaft and you're like looking at things from a totally different perspective. So now you have to then identify, you know, the self-awareness component is huge. And
it's that grow through what you go through kind of concept too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's like that metamorphosis that happens again. And You're
again
like,
and again.
you're just shed like the snake. The snake constantly sheds its skin, but it's still a snake.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And so
So
as
it's
we up level and we have to release these densities that are carried on, can be stuck in our auric field, can be
mm-hmm,
trapped in the DNA,
mm-hmm.
the society we're part of. I feel like that's why it's so important to really be aware of who you surround yourself with as well, and what
Oh,
you
that's
surround
huge.
yourself with.
Absolutely. I mean, this is I've got like a newer body of work that's coming out eventually as soon as I feel like it's full. That because I'm most known for like manifestation, I think, in my industry. And like you know, that is actually next level manifestation is when we're coming together as a collective and realizing that we actually manifest with each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
people who typically enter into personal development and spiritual evolution, like they're looking to create stuff for their own lives. Like maybe they want more money, maybe they want physical objects, they want a, you know, certain type of relationship. And so it becomes this where you're focused on yourself, which you're constantly focused on growing you. That's an ongoing process, like we just said. But you begin to shift from focusing solely on the me to actually considering and holding space for the we. And
Totally.
so that's like a huge
That's part of the
upgrade.
filling up your cup first and allowing that overflow so that you can
Yeah.
show up and not have that space of manipulation or like that scarcity mindset or a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that, which are definitely, they kind of steer off course when you're working on divine manifestation, which is perfect because this is what I wanted to lead into.
Mm-hmm.
So, how has divine manifestation supported you and continue to support you as you continue to build your empire, continue to be a human on this planet, continue to uplift humanity, and just like be human?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. That's, I mean, it's everything, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it is everything. I don't see manifestation as just like this tool that's like strapped on my tool belt and I'm like, I really want some more money, or I really want to manifest this experience or opportunity. I'm going to pull out my manifestation tool. The way that I practice, the way that I teach divine manifestation is actually a lived journey. It's an ongoing practice, and really it is your soul's unfoldment and evolution. And so I look at divine manifestation as you don't have to rely on your own separate strength to try it. Because I think a lot of people, when they enter into manifestation, they're trying to push things or force things, or they want something so bad that they're writing this list of wants to the universe, like a Christmas list, and they're trying to push things through. But what you learn is that you don't actually, in divine manifestation, need to rely on your own separate strength. When you do that, you're actually like, the energy of that is leaning forward, like you're trying to push things to will them into existence.
Mm,
And that doesn't work. I mean, willpower can last temporarily. Like if you look at New Year's
totally.
resolutions, right? People like come the new year and they're all excited to get some new stuff happen in their life. New Year's resolutions never work unless you're
Mm.
doing the deep-seated, you know, belief work.
Yeah, they say they fail by February.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're lucky to get a couple months in,
Yeah.
then you're one of the few.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like you're trying to force things into existence, and it's like what I like to call, you're manifesting from a surface level want rather than a soulfully aligned desire.
So don't manifest from a basic bitch level. Manifest from like deep-seated, authentic radness.
Yeah, yes, totally. I love it. You just summed it up. Okay, you guys, thanks for listening. Have a great day. But so divine manifestation, instead of leaning forward into this, relying on my own separate strength to will this into existence, what happens is you shift into a leaning back, almost like you're leaning back into the arms of the universe as a co-creator. We are creators as divine beings. We create the world around us. We create what's happening inside of us. And so divine manifestation supports you in co-creation with your higher power, with universe, spirit, God, source, whatever we want to label our higher power. And so when you're able to lean back into the arms of the universe, it's like this harmonious dance that you do with your higher power. And because, look, I know for me, I only know like a little tiny fraction of a grain of sand of everythingness. But the universe knows all. It's holding everything. God is holding everything. So if we can then that can be our business partner. That can be our manifestation partner. Like, I know I'd much rather have that on my side than relying only on myself. So
I think a lot of that also goes with cultivating trust.
oh,
And
absolutely.
but the first thing is like, where have you lost trust in yourself? Like, where did you not listen to the discernment before? And how can you forgive yourself for those actions?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because we can't, it's challenging to trust something outside of us if we can't even trust ourselves too sometimes.
But it's not outside of us.
Totally.
It's, I mean, it may appear like that
Mm-hmm.
human element thinks that we're separate, thinks that
Mm-hmm.
we're not a part of the whole, but we are actually a part of everything.
Yes.
We're a piece of the working whole. So it's that again, that's back to that remembering. It's back to that leaning back and knowing that you are a part, and trust. You're absolutely right. Trust is huge. And it's certainly a muscle that we develop. I mean, it's not necessarily something we come out of the gates running as like a champion on. I have to work on trust all the time. I mean,
and
I'm
surrendering,
surrender,
especially as alphas, you know, like alphas
absolutely.
who are like, I got this all. It's like
Yep.
martyr
Absolutely.
complex.
Yeah. Yes. So not only are we're in that space of co-creatorship with your higher power. But again, like I mentioned, we're also looking at, instead of a surface level want, like if we're writing this list of things that we want, those typically they're unfulfilling for the most part. I mean, I've manifested from that space. I mean, I've manifested some crazy, awesome, cool shit from that space. But when I got finally, like when it arrived, it felt a little unfulfilling. So when you're in that space of deeply soulfully aligning your desires, that feels much different. So it's then, how do we tune into that? How do we align with that to really pull forth the things that are that your spirit and that your soul is wanting to express? You know, it's
I
the
think
question.
it's a lot of that even too. Sorry to interrupt, because it's like,
No.
you know, sometimes those they're like kind of like small desires, you know, and then we think,
Sure.
well, get it. And then we're like not happy. It's like, now what?
Yeah.
When you have those really soul enriched desires, those really deep, deep, deep desires, and those become manifested and actualized, that's a lot of times they take a lot of work. You know,
Sure.
it's not just brought to you on a silver platter. Because
Absolutely.
because to me, I know all of the things that I've been able to accomplish have been the toughest things to endure. You know, and
Yeah.
it was just like I had to completely shift my mindset. I've had to let go of people. I've had to start new habits. It
Sure.
took work for sure.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
what is the drive behind the intention and the work is everything. Is it to fill some egoic kind of people pleasing someone else, or to show like status? Or is it really in alignment with like your dharma and your soul's calling?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, for me as a spiritual, soulful human being, I choose to manifest from that soul space, because I've manifested from the surface level, and I've been really successful at it. But it always left me feeling like there was something just not, like something disconnected, something just not fully right, or whatever. But another piece that's really important about divine manifestation when I teach is also the duality of life. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. You know, when I first entered into personal development and spiritual growth, you know, there's a lot of chatter and a lot of talk about, you know, positive thinking and being aware of what's happening in your head and your headspace, and high vibing yourself. We just got to stay on our high flying disc. We just
Yeah.
got to
Love and light everything.
love and light everything. And so that is gorgeous. And yes, that is one piece of the pie. But what a lot of people are missing is that that's only one side of the spectrum. So in divine manifestation, we honor the duality of life, the up, the down, the in, the out, the light and the dark. And so we also look at, so if we're looking at all the light, love and light, awesome, positive thinking, the stuff that makes us feel really, really good, we also have to look at like what is in the shadow. What are the things that we want to resist, that we don't want to look at? Because I can tell you that
Spiritual bypassing.
all the time on the other side of that is always a part of yourself that just wants to be loved and looked at and integrated into the whole. And so we do that work as well. We do that integration. Another really big piece is the belief systems. Subconscious rewiring and reprogramming is huge. I mean, in our mind, we have to look at our mind. And if your belief systems, the current beliefs that you hold in your being, do not align with what you're looking to call in and manifest, there's no way that you're going to manifest them. And maybe you will manifest them, but they'll disappear or they'll slip through your fingers or you can't hold on to it. So we have to look at our belief systems in our mind, the subconscious programming. And if you want to take it an even level, a level and layer deeper when it comes to metaphysical, because that's what I'm all about as well. We also have to look at the karmic history as well. We look at the not only like in the realm of epigenetics, where we're looking at the generational things that have been passed down from our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents,
which we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yes, we're looking at that, but we're also looking at the past lives. Like what are you carrying in your soul from other lifetimes that needs to be healed or acknowledged or integrated? So it's this space of we're looking at a bunch of different elements, the holistic approach of life. It's not just one thing, it's the wholeness of everything.
Because the past and the present and the future are all here in this moment.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
They're all here. There's no separation. And I think that's why so many of us are remembering that we were either like Atlanteans or Lumerians or Egyptians. I'm definitely tapping into that a lot. I'm seeing a lot more of the priestess, excuse me, I had to sneeze. I thought I had to sneeze. The priestess lineage I'm really tapping into because ever since I was a little girl, like I was obsessed with Egyptian culture. I mean, I'm drinking from my jasmine cup, my tea right now, very like, I love the whole idea of the hieroglyphics and the symbolism and the priestess energy and the goddess energy. And, that's why I started initially with shamanistic Odessa, because I was tapping into that priestess. And then I was hearing like, don't label yourself as just that, like step up as yourself in this lifetime. So I was like, okay, so I'll go back to Sabrina Riccio with my work and even Sovereign Goddess podcast into Sovereign Society. Is because even in past lives, like you may be this gender now, but you may not have been in another, and I think that's why a lot of us are able to really come into space where we are transcending 5D consciousness, which is, everyone's like, oh, go to the 5D. But to me, I just keep hearing that's a trap because there's higher dimensions. And so the 5D is the unity consciousness, but that unity consciousness is finding that masculine and feminine within you and to find that balance. And once you do that, then you take it to the next level, working with sacred geometry in the 6D to like start to recode and regrid what's going on energetically. And then the 7th D, which I'm like really tapping into right now, is the sound current. And that's,
oh my gosh, yes,
your truth.
That's amazing. Yes, absolutely. I love that so much.
Yeah. And so us like being in that sound current in Kundalini Yoga, we call it the nod, which is like the way your sound is what permeates, like think of music, like timeless music, it brings you back. Things that we can be saying like, oh, it'll bring you back, whether challenging or empowering, like you can go back and hear those difficult conversations that you probably have not forgiven yet. And those can really damper into your existence and your experience of this moment. So it's a lot of even going back into that forgiveness. I think just to me, like as a student of A Course in Miracles for the past 8 years, like forgiveness is just everything for me.
Yes. And even I know in my own work, I mean, forgiveness, there's even like this space after forgiveness where we're actually looking to understand and this passionate understanding. I know my parents were divorced when I was little. So I've never actually known my parents to be together. And she had a couple husbands, and one of them really like there was some damage that was done as I was growing up as a small human. And so I really was, it kept coming up that healing needed to happen. And I'm like, I've already forgiven him though. Like, what more is there? And I was actually guided in this space of like compassionate understanding. Like, how can I completely remove my own levels and layers and stuff to put myself in his shoes, even before he was a man who actually hurt me, hurt my mom. So yeah, it's deep.
That's the biggest thing too, is to recognize, because I remember the first spiritual book I ever read was Deepak Chopra's Spiritual Solutions. And it was after a difficult LSD trip that I had. And the quote that has stuck out, it's like been a guiding force for me, is that everyone's doing their best based on their level of awareness. And so people may be acting or hurting us, but they are completely unaware of the impact or the pain that is causing someone else, because that person themselves is enduring so much pain. That pain recognizes pain and can't see beyond that sometimes when there's trauma.
Yeah. Hurt people. And it is, you're absolutely right. I mean, what I know to be true about the soul is that that is not the intention. I mean, there's no way that like at a soul level, you're going to try and like be hurtful physically or emotionally or mentally. Like it's just, that's not
what we're seeing in office right now too.
Yeah.
Like all these people that are in office that have quote unquote power, they were not loved as children at all. It's like their complete root chakra and sacral chakra are completely closed. And then there's probably that ancestral pain and trauma too. So that's where coming from that space of compassion.
Yeah.
Right. Like, of course you can feel anger. Like, don't ignore that.
Sure, absolutely.
But what's the higher thing? The higher thing is to look at it as a reflection of you and see them as a person, as a human to human, and realize like that person's really hurting.
Absolutely.
And you pray for their soul, surrender it over to God, spirit, universe, whatever higher power that also is part of them.
Yeah.
But we can't get so caught up in that either, because
absolutely,
that's again the martyrdom that we're really working. And then I've also been hearing a lot like trauma. A lot of people with trauma, like they attach to that trauma because that's their identity and that's all they know. And so how do we transcend that trauma into triumph and like choose to be the victorious one rather than continuing to be the victim of what our circumstances have been in the past, which is something I'm for sure deeply working with.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned like the people in power government wise, like, this just hear like people that are listening to hear me out on this. Like, I'm not a political person. I've up to this point, I've been very vanilla in what I put out on purpose because I didn't want to offend people or whatever. But now I'm definitely coming out more and more, speaking my own truth. And because I know it just gives others to speak permission, or just give them permission to do that for their own life. But I'm actually really grateful that Trump was elected, if we're going political. And the reason why I say that is because I believe that he is one of the many catalysts that is creating these shifts of change.
To wake up.
Yes, because we have for so long been in the space of passing power away. We pass power to, in the religious sector, people who are religious, we're passing power to the head of the church. In the governmental space, we're passing power to the elected officials. We're passing power to the doctors in our healthcare system. When in actuality, we need to reclaim our own power. We need to come together as a collective, as a humanity, and not rely on other people to do it for us. And so it's all about just empowering ourselves. And if we don't like something, we have to like speak up, that the whole truth, speaking your truth with your voice. And so I actually believe that if we had a comfy, cozy government elected official where we all felt like things are getting done,
it would have been another spiritual bypassing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so now we are looking things straight in the face of holy crap, like I don't want this. I don't want my world to be like this. I don't want
people have more power now in the past 2 years. I feel like because of this, because it's triggered. It's triggered that people are like, oh, fuck this. Like now this has been the permission for me to really like step up. I hear you on that, sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about this new course that you're doing too, as we were talking. It's so much around this divine manifestation, and there's so much going around manifestation and stuff right now. But what makes
Yeah.
this experience unique?
Yeah. So my one of my signature actual courses, it's a live run course, is called Inward. So we're going into ourself, this introspection, really leaning into the feminine energy, to really get this tool belt of things that can support you along your journey. Like I said, I'm not trying to squeeze any one person into my own lived experience into a one size fits all box. Do you? But how can we then get this deep soul clarity, that I call soulfully aligning? It's a process that I teach people to pull forth like what's really resonating at that soul space. And then how can, now that we know what's happening at a soul level that you actually desire, how do we then release the blocks, release the things that are holding you back from those, release them, love them, and move forward? And tapping into this co-creation space with the universe, like with God, your higher power. How do we lean back and allow this unfoldment to happen? So this is my signature course. I mean, I've run more than 4,000 people through it. It's tried and true, and I'm madly in love with the material. But I also have a free mini course that kind of leads into this. If people are interested, they can totally just tap in for free. That's called Onward. So it's an introduction into, how can we really begin to move onward from those blocks and those things that are keeping us stuck into this magnificent life that we can choose to live or not choose to live. So Onward, like I said, is this free offering. It's onwardcourse.com. And so yeah, that's my jam, girlfriend.
She's just slaying with her marketing, literally. Like, seriously, I literally was like on your website and I was like, this bitch is dialed in. She's in it. Like, she gets it. I just love people with good websites and good marketing. Yeah, no, seriously. It's like, I'm just like, oh yeah, like fuck yeah, you go girl. Like,
Thank you.
get it. Yeah, it's a lot. It takes a lot of energy, and yeah, I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And
Yeah.
I'm also affiliate for this course, and I'm just so excited to be supporting people. Again, talking about cooperation, it's like I want to be supporting people with their work, and
Yeah.
it's also been a shift for me growing up with the scarcity mindset. It's something that I've worked on through, and that's to be honest too, through the scarcity and realizing like, oh, abundance, there's enough to go around. Whoever is going to resonate with Jen and her work, they're going to resonate with Jen and my work. Whoever's going to resonate with someone else I share on the podcast with their course, they're going to resonate with this work. My intention for this podcast is to just create the sacred space for people to share their work, share their message, and whoever is like, yo, I need that. Your wish is my command, right?
And you're welcome. Yeah.
And you're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so since you are like sharing my work, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you so much. And it does take us all. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's we may be teaching the very same thing, the same exact thing, but some people may resonate with the way I present it or resonate the way that you. That's why we all need to show up.
Yeah.
And so you'll have your own special link. So
which will be in the show notes below.
Yeah. Yeah. So click that little linky poo.
And for anyone who signs up through that link, you are going to get a free soul spread with me, as well as a 45-minute coaching call.
Whoa, nice.
Whoa.
Can I do that too? Like,
yeah, come on over. We got jackets. I got the mezcal ready to go. Nice. Okay, so this has been so fun. I've been really enjoying this conversation, but
me too.
We have a lightning round, obviously, because I don't know if you know, but I was struck by lightning, so I like to call the lightning round.
Oh, dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, girl. So the lightning round. Okay. What has been one book that has completely changed the trajectory of your life?
Gary Zukov, back in the day. Gary Zukov, actually, the books in his series about choice and about, the name is like totally escaping my brain at this moment.
It's not seat of the soul.
Soul,
Seat
seat
of the
of the
soul.
soul.
Seat
There's
of the
heart
soul.
of the soul.
Seat of the soul.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
seat of the
Yeah,
soul.
seat of the soul. And there's also
Yeah.
heart of the soul as well, like another book.
Mm-hmm.
Those were, I drank those like water when I was kind of really opening up in my journey. One that I'm jamming on hardcore right now is Neil Donald Walsh's newest book in the Conversations with God series. It's actually book 4. I got that shit on Audible, like listening to that like a mofo all the time. That's a
That's
good one.
amazing.
That's a
Yeah,
really good one.
Oprah said Seat of the Soul was the book that changed her life.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it was huge. It
Yeah,
was
I have
huge.
that by my bedside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that and Power of Myth
Oh yeah.
from Joseph Campbell. That's
Okay.
like,
Okay.
yeah, that's for sure.
Good
Awesome.
stuff.
Okay, so what would you say, or who would you say, what or who are some of your strongest spirit guides? Whether it be
Mm.
animals, archangels.
Yeah. So Archangel Michael comes to jam with me all the time. So
Oh
Archangel
yeah.
Michael, I come from a very religious background. I'm not religious anymore, obviously. I don't claim a religion. But being that I grew up religious, Jesus is my homie. Like he always literally always comes into my meditations wearing just like chill garb and sandals, and he always just like sits on the floor with me. I
That's
forget.
amazing.
I love that. And then, I just wanted to mention this too. Like I actually have my own archetype and I don't really know like the details on where this kind of came from, but it's kind of like the higher me that I tune into. It's
Mhm.
actually really interesting. It's this Native American soul, because it's not woman nor man. It's like embodies both, like this medicine person, but who's also at the same time an angel. So it's like a cosmic angel where
Like
I
an
literally,
androgynous angel.
yeah, but I'm also like the Native American like surroundings are near me. I've come from that culture. And so yeah, like I have these gigantical angel wings, and I like shoot up into the cosmos, and I grab like stars and I crush them, and I help heal people, not me healing, but the
You're a conduit.
conduit, yeah, with the stardust that I've collected from the cosmos. It's a really pretty
That's
badass, like
magical.
it's a pretty badass like space when I tune into that
Wow,
archetype.
sign me up. Fuck,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
Okay, so what would you share with younger Jen today?
Oh, little Jen. I just like want to squeeze her.
Everyone has that same kind of like energy, like, oh,
Oh, little baby
little
Jen.
Jen,
Little
no.
baby Jen. Okay, yeah. So I would definitely want to say to little Jen is that you're not alone, because there were many intersections in my life where I felt like I was alone, like whether like my mom had a new dude and she was off with the dude and I was by myself, or I felt like it was just me, like it was me against the world. And so just, you're not alone, because when you tune into the unseen, when I've actually done like healing spaces on this, and I tune into what in those moments where I felt the most alone, I looked around and like Jesus was there, my dog was there, like my angels were there. Like I wasn't alone. So you're not alone, Jen. You're not alone.
I love that. And I love going back to what you were saying about Jesus too, because I grew up like super Catholic.
Yeah.
And my relationship with Jesus has obviously shifted. And I actually have a deeper relationship now with Mary Magdalene than I ever did. Because,
Sure.
growing up Catholic is always like, oh, she was the whore. And I'm like, wait, maybe I was Mary Magdalene in a past life. Like, and I just shifting that programming
Yeah.
from the way that I was raised about these guides, and even just overall, like, no more shaming. Like, Jesus is not someone to shame.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another soul that comes to me is Dr. Wayne Dyer, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, we like have fireside chats.
it's amazing. I have a Wayne Dyer quote on my, like everyone's got those Instagram like quote
Yeah, yeah.
like things now, and it's in my room when I wake up every morning, and it's like my favorite quote from him is I'll see it when I believe it.
Mm,
So that's what I wake up to every morning.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, he's so sweet.
Okay, so if there's something that you want to share that we really didn't touch on, or something like some really potent medicine or download you've really been hearing a lot and running with, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, just in the space of divine manifestation is, you are more powerful than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not only like I mentioned earlier, we're not only human beings where messy is a part of our repertoire, but also the beautiful. But we are also connected to literally everything. Like we come from like
Everything.
everything. And
What a
so
concept.
yeah, and so just the space of remembering, like if you can, maybe if that's walking out and going on a wilderness hike, or going into meditation, going to contemplation, praying, like whatever supports you in going to that remembering space. But you are more powerful than you realize, and you don't have to do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, woman. Yes. Okay, great. And then, so where can we find more about you, more about your podcast, more about Onward, Inward,
Yeah.
all of the great marketing and beautiful website?
Oh, thank you, love. I appreciate you. So just jenmavros.com, super easy, is my home on the
With
interweb.
one N.
One N, Jen,
I got you.
Mavros. And it's actually Greek. My husband's Greek. It was originally Mavros Michalaki, but
Yeah, for sure. It's super
Mavros.
Greek.
Yeah. And then the podcast is at thejenmavrosshow.com. And then you'll have the special links for both of the Onward and Inward courses. The Onward is the free one. And then Inward is the 8-week live run, which is, we're going into opening the doors for that very soon. So, and I think maybe by the time this airs, the doors will be open.
Yeah, this will be out.
Yeah. So that's that.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you, sister, for being here and having this awesome conversation. I can talk about manifestation and entrepreneurship all day. Like,
Me too. Thank
this is
you.
like,
Yeah.
and for so long, I was like shaming myself about business. I was like, oh, I really don't want to talk about business, but like, I really do enjoy it. And I do have my degree in it. And I love to see people creating their own dreams and people like having the courage to like follow their heart and to support them
Yeah,
in that.
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think that's what we're shifting to too.
Yep. Yeah. And entrepreneurship's one of my favorite conversations too. So I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
Well, thanks everyone. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Share, leave a review, and go check out Jen's podcast because she has incredible guests. Literally, I was like, yeah, girl, you're fucking doing it. You like reaching out, you showing up. Like, yes. So thank you for bringing in those conversations too in your sacred space. And I look forward to being on there someday soon.
Yes.
And yeah, so we can talk about all the things because obviously this conversation is not over yet.
No. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be seeing you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.